Hey dudes, it's Lerald. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to set yourself up for success at the start of a league. We're going to cover how to sustain maps as you push up to get your first 2 Void Stones, and then break down a bunch of our favorite league mechanics, give some sample Atlas passive trees, and then we'll get to the hardest part, which is sitting here waiting for the league to launch. So we've said this a few times in the last several videos we've made, but here it is once again. We are now working with PoE Vault to create written guides for PoE 1 and PoE 2. These guides are going to pair with our video content and, you know, offer the same level of care and consideration that we give to everything we do. We have some written guides for Heist and Expedition. Those, I'm skipping ahead in the script here, but those are mechanics that we recommend doing early in the league, and you can find those linked in the description of this video. Alright, let's get into it. And so on that note, you have the in-game atlas. You have to actually complete all 115 of these maps. Wow, 115 maps. Yeah, you have to complete each of these individually. They all have an objective, which is just to clear the map. That means kill the boss. And then they have a bonus objective. It basically depends on what tier it is. If it's a white tier map, so if I take out all my Void Stones, this will show all of the maps at their correct respective tiers. So everything from tier 1 to tier 5 is white. 6 to 10 is yellow, 11 to 16 is red. So white tier maps, if you kill the final boss and the map is at least magic, you get the bonus objective. For yellow tier maps, so 6 to 10, it's a rare map, and then for 11 through tier 16, you have to kill the boss on a corrupted rare version, which just means, you know, you roll it with an alchemy orb, then you vol it, now you complete the map, and you get credit for completing the bonus objective, which is what unlocks all of your Atlas passive points. There you go. That's the basics on map progression and Atlas tree progression in Path of Exile 1. Kirac is able to help you out significantly with this process because he has missions, and you will get these as a reward just simply for completing maps. It's a small random chance when you complete a map to get a Kirac mission, and it'll be the same tier of map that you did will be the tier of mission that he gives you. As you can see, I have about 1,500 red tier maps because we're on standard league or red tier missions. And yeah, that's quite a lot. So Kirac will offer you a lot of maps. Sometimes there'll be maps that you haven't completed already. You can hold Alt, and it'll show that whether you've completed the map or whether you've completed the bonus objective. We're on standard, so I've done them all. But you can use Explorer scouting reports, and there are several different types of scouting reports, but these ones will reroll his maps and try to use uncompleted maps whenever possible. That'll help with completing as many bonus objectives as possible, and also it just kind of gives you another set of maps available, right, if you've done everything there. Kirac missions on their own are helpful for progressing a tier. You might complete a tier 6 map and unlock a mission and get a tier 7 or 8 map available to you in Kirac's window here, but it also helps in another way because Kirac sells maps, and as you can see, they're kind of based on the last map tier that you've completed. I've completed a tier 16 on this character, so I have a tier 16 here. Some of the higher level ones are not necessarily worth buying. They're a little bit more expensive than you could buy them from another player, but at the very lowest levels, he'll sell them for like chance orbs and alchemy orbs. They're very, very cheap. So it's really helpful for being able to buy maps from him early on, and we can just kind of show that off. I'm just going to buy all of his yellow and white tier maps here, and that can help with sustaining maps, but also, whenever you run a mission, you don't even have to complete it. When you just open a mission with Kirac, and then let the portals all actually spawn in, you can reopen the purchase window, and oh my god, it refreshed. So this is kind of 2 different ways in which Kirac missions, even if you don't want to run the maps themselves, because you can't put scarabs in and they don't benefit from your Atlas passive tree, it can still help with map sustain because he'll now sell you a whole bunch more maps and occasionally some really good, like little cheapo div cards or cartographer's chisels later on in the league can actually be like, at the very start of a league, this isn't always a great price, but 8 chaos for 20 cartographer's chisels later on can be a pretty good deal as well, and he has that in his stash every time he resets his window. One important note on this before I finish up here is just simply that when you do open up the Atlas missions, you do actually want to wait to reopen that purchase items window, because sometimes if you have that open and then open a set of maps at the same time, if you're a little too quick, it can actually bug out and you won't get that refresh. Had it happen to me plenty of times. Alright, and so with that being said, we have this very large spreadsheet here with rankings of all of the league mechanics, and also a handful of sample Atlas passive trees for kind of progressing through the Atlas and progressing through the in-game. And the first couple of trees are Kirac-based trees. They're very early map sustain trees, so I'm going to kind of show off one of those. And this is the standard method for progressing through the Atlas. You come right up the gut here, right up through the middle, and you come to Commissioned Officer. All of these little passive bonuses that give you a chance for a Kirac mission upon completion are really, really good. I think, but I'm not 100% certain, that the chance of getting a Kirac mission upon completing a map is around 8%. It might be lower. I don't know. But the point here is now you're able to add a flat 14% chance just by taking these small passives and then Commissioned Officer, and that's really good early on. So this is the standard to just come right up the middle, take the right side of this wheel here, and take Commissioned Officer. So one thing I will say about PoE Planner, it's a great website. GGG was a little late with getting the JSON, the Atlas passive tree data to them. So they haven't updated for 3.27. The only thing that really changes in 3.27 is some of the map mod effects. Small passives have been removed, and then breaches out of the tree and beyond has been moved over to the right. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but just like, I wanted to wait as long as possible to hope for an update, but it just, ultimately, it doesn't really affect any of this Kirac stuff, or really any of the trees that we're recommending at all, so not a huge deal anyways. Now, once you've gotten these Kirac nodes, you really just want to start picking up nodes that help you get maps to drop at a higher tier. So Shaping the World, Shaping the Mountains, and Shaping the Skies all do that, and all the small passives around there do that as well. They just give you a chance for your maps to drop one tier higher, and that's really, really valuable. It really helps you get a lot more maps and help progress your Atlas faster, so you kind of make this, like, shrugging man sort of pattern here in the tree. And then from there, if you want, you can go out and take the 2 small passive wheels that also are associated with Kirac. However, the notables from these, Solidarity and Planar Tactician, not very good. I mean, scouting reports aren't like very valuable or really like that important early on in a league, or late in a league, or ever in a league, really. So you don't really want to bother with those, but this is like a very basic setup for going for Kirac early. This is more the tree that we're going to be playing with, and we're gonna like sort of recommend if you want to mess around with Expedition first. You can come over here and take Expedition, then take some of the Kirac small passives here and Shaping the Mountains, then make your way over to Unexpected or Expect the Unexpected, whatever, Commissioned Officer, Shaping the World, all of this stuff. So just simply trying to get Expedition on the board a little bit sooner. I'm not 100% certain that this is what we're going to go with versus the tree that we just linked. But, you know, we're going to do one of the two. Either way, we're going to be getting Expedition as our first league mechanic. So whether it's this way or the other way, I don't know. Ultimately, the point of doing Kirac is really just to like get yourself progressed up to tier 14, 15, 16 maps. And then once you've done that and you've kind of gotten a handful of them around, the value of Kirac kind of drops off. You also unlock second and third Atlas passive trees, which I haven't put any points into on standard, but yeah, you unlock 3 different Atlas passive trees, and you unlock those just at different levels of numbers of maps that you've completed the bonus objectives of. I don't remember the numbers off the top of the dome. I think it's 50 and 100. Okay, I went and looked that up on the wiki, and I was actually right. It is in fact 50 and 100 bonus objectives for unlocking the second and third Atlas passive tree, so you will get those roughly around the time, if you're making decent progress, you'll probably get one of those around the time that you're doing your Void Stones, something like that. And that's pretty much that for Kirac and for progressing up into red tier maps. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump back over here to the spreadsheet. Now we'll just make a couple of points here about patch 3.27. There are some buffs and changes. I mentioned that Breach is going to be out of the Atlas passive tree entirely. It's going to be in every map, so that's going to be like instant juice right there to just have Breach in every map. But it's going to be a little weird to not have Breach on the tree. It's kind of a buff to Beyond, really more to like Abyss and Legion being on the same side of the tree as Beyond, but kind of interesting that that's happening. Definitely a nerf to Alva. Kind of okay, that probably needed to happen. And then the changes to map modifier effect, like all the small passives on the way to things like Chiseled Perfection, not giving map mod effect, or same here with Invasive Adversaries, not giving map mod effect, does mean that there's going to be a little bit less scaling of quantity, item rarity, and pack size. That's also happening with tier 17 map mods. Those are losing some quant, rarity, and pack size value. So, like, the ceiling's being lowered a little bit, but the floor for gear and whatever trading, the floor for, like, lower-end players horror players is being raised a lot by asynchronous trade. I don't think I really need to say anything about asynchronous trade. It's just very, 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 very good for the game. We love it. And now let's go ahead and jump into the spreadsheet and really just talk about some of the best mechanics and most important things. So I'll link this spreadsheet in the description. You can take a look at the full thing if you want, but we're really just going to hit on the important stuff. So once you get to tier 14 maps, you're able to add Eldritch Altars in, and as soon as you want to spec into, whether you're going red side or blue side, you want to spec into the appropriate either Shadow of Hunger or Light of Dawn, and then the Keystone bonus Wrath of the Cosmos or Eldritch Gaze, whether you're going blue or red. Most people will go red because red generates a lot more Chaos Orbs, Fall Orbs at the start of a league. It is the better option. However, as a Chaos build, Toxic Rain Pathfinder, the red altars give a lot of chaos res to monsters, and they have a lot of anti-flask related downsides. Pretty annoying. Whereas the blue altars are very easy to deal with downside wise. So we always go blue altars like right from the beginning, and that's not going to change this time either. So it's going to be blue altar o'clock from the very start for us. But for most people, it'll be red. Ambush is probably going to be the defining strategy of the league, and ambush is really, really fun. We do have a little ambush tree in here. Cheapo strongboxes is actually our most points of any tree. And the thing that's fun about strongboxes is you click the box, the guys come out, you kill them, they drop currency. It's super simple. It's super fast. Everybody loves it, and you don't have to put any investment into it. It's better if you do, obviously, but you really don't have to do much at all with it, and you can very easily combine shrines to make it go faster. Shrines are a super fun multiplier. Yeah, you know, this is just a super fun, fast setup that gives you a lot of scarabs and raw currency, and so this is kind of more or less going to be a tree that people are angling toward having set up like before the end of the weekend. For very high level players, you're going to have all 132 points and really be juicing as hard as possible on those strong boxes. Then there are a bunch of other mechanics that are really good. Blight is really, really good in the first couple days to like weekend of a league. Being able to sell blighted maps through asynchronous trade is going to make it much stronger than it was before. And oils sell for a ton during the first week of a league, like an absolute ton, so that's a real advantage for Blight. And then also there's just the fact that towers will kill stuff for you even if your damage is terrible, so Blight's really good. Maybe it's even in the S tier, probably is. It's kind of straddling the line there. Bossing is another really great strategy. You do need a bossing build though for bossing to work, so a miner like Pyroclast Mind Saboteur can work really well for that, but it is more of a high game knowledge type of approach, and it has a really short shelf life. If you're selling carries, then it can be a little bit longer, but if you're just bossing to get drops and sell those to people, the shelf life of that is pretty short. Breach, you know, we don't exactly know how good Breach is going to be, but it looks insanely good. It looks like it's going to be one of the most fun league mechanics in a long time, and it's going to be in every map, so that's going to be pretty fun. I'll make special mention of the Chaos recipe here, which is like, a lot of people do it for like the first few hours. Honestly, because we're going to be streaming day one of the league, we may not bother. It seems really boring to do on stream, so Chaos recipe, maybe skip it, I don't know. Certainly it's pain, right? So that sucks. Einhar also got a huge quality of life buff with asynchronous trade being in the game now, so he's really good. I did pull up some very low quality images of Kirac Chimeral and Finnable Plagued Arachnid. They just sort of look like a guy with some like weirdly articulated fingers and toes, and then a purple spider. But these are going to be your big like moneymaker at the start of the league. It's just Einhar with those two. They'll make you a lot of money, and the thing that's nice about Einhar is you can do them in like tier 1 to tier 4 white maps. You can also combine them with essences, which you want to do in tier 6 yellow maps, so you can do like tier 6 Einhar and Essence at the same time. We have a tree for that as well, which we have called Beast Essence. And it looks like this, right? You don't have to worry about map mod effect at all. You can take some Scarab stuff if you want, a little bit of map sustain if you want. Mostly you're just taking all the bestiary nodes, enough bestiary nodes to guarantee Einhars in every map. 96 will do it. You have an 8% chance for any league mechanic to spawn in your map. For the most part, Beyond has a 0% chance, but pretty much all the rest of them have an 8% chance. So if you can get to 92 on the tree, that'll take care of you. And then you just take most of the essence points, not this right side where they used to have a chance to contain a remnant of corruption. I haven't seen the new tree, but I assume it's just going to be that they have a 10% chance to be corrupted. You can just carry some Vol Orbs and do that yourself. And then you don't actually have to have any mods on the map. Like, you can farm tier 6 white map, like unrolled tier 6 maps for Essence and for Einhar. Not so fun, but it does work really well for making a lot of currency, and it's a way to kind of double dip. And, you know, now that Einhar beasts sell super easy, that's pretty cool. Expedition is kind of our favorite. It's going to be like our flagship through this league. We have 2 trees for Expedition. You know, that one early starting tree that we showed off a little bit ago, and then this one, which is a little bit more of a juiced Expedition tree, where we are coming over here to take Expedition, taking pretty much all the nodes except for this one really bad wheel here, Ancient Decay, and then just taking like a bunch of quant and rarity and all the map mod effect for what that's worth, and then mostly all the scarab stuff that we can around the tree to try and farm as many scarabs as possible. Also, if you want to use Expedition scarabs, that's good. If you want to use Essence scarabs and that Beast Essence strategy, that's good too. You know, kind of some recommendations. You can ignore or follow any of these that you want. Heist also is a mechanic that has gotten some pretty nice buffs in patch 3.27 in a couple of different directions. The fact that you don't need to level up your rogues anymore is really good. The fact that there's asynchronous trade is also really good. So we have a Blight Heist tree. I think this really makes a lot of sense. You're doing tier 16 maps. You're hunting down Blight Ravage maps, or at least Blighted and Blight Ravage maps, and then also heist contracts, right? Heist contracts, and especially like fully ID'd heist blueprints. You can just basically take all of those and shove them into a tab where you price them at whatever you want, and they'll sell automatically while you're doing more maps or sleeping or whatever it is you're doing. You're going to sell all that stuff automatically, and so this tree is just fully optimized for like as many points as possible to make maps drop. This is a commonly asked question. These bonuses like Shaping the World, the things that say tier 1 to 15 maps have a 10% chance to become 1 tier higher. If you're doing tier 16 maps, it seems like that wouldn't increase the drop chance. It does. This is very confirmed, and it's kind of a complicated hidden mechanic, but basically that final bonus there does increase the chance of getting more maps, even if you're doing tier 16s. All right, Labyrinth, I'll move very quickly through this one and just say Labyrinth is a great source of transfigured gems. It is pretty painful. It takes a real special type of brain, but it is very good. The same kind of goes for Maven in-game boss invitations. Super great mechanic. Does require a bossing build and a special brain with just exactly the right kind of wrinkles in it, but really good if you like doing it. All right, and then the last mechanic here that I'm going to talk about is Settlers League. So a lot of players have had their fill of Settlers League. It was a league that lasted a full year, longest league in PoE's history ever, for sure. And so a lot of veteran players are just bored with it, but we're not. It's a really good mechanic. It's got a lot of depth. It's got some really good, not difficult, but very rewarding bosses. We do have a tree for Settlers League here, and you do want to run Settlers on the map device if you're doing Settlers. But there's just a lot of variety in all of the different types of ore that come out of Settlers. The shipping mechanic generates a lot of currency early on in a league. It generates a lot of really good gear. There are these very specific rolled pieces, some of which are incredibly good for Toxic Rain Pathfinder. Like, I think I killed Uber's last league wearing some of the pieces that came from Settlers League. And, yeah, it's just a really, really, really strong mechanic. So it's definitely one that we're going to be like, this is kind of a sleeper, right? We didn't make a video about this before the league, but we might after the league. You know, there may be some redesigns on GGG's part in terms of like how much things cost, some rebalancing there, but the mechanics of this league are strong and it's super rewarding. We really can't recommend Settlers League highly enough, and that's why I got an A tier, double A tier. And the main reason it's not like S tier like some of these other ones is just it's not quite so spectacular, but it's really, really good. And you know, maybe I'm also penalizing it a little bit because it was the longest league of all time. One thing that I will point out about this before we finish up here is that Bismuth Infusion does add modifiers to monsters. These modifiers increase the amount of stuff that they drop, and the Bismuth Infusion giving them a chance to get a second modifier is super awesome. It's really, really good in conjunction with anything that scales up the number of monsters within your maps, specifically like more magic and more rare monsters is just really good to have all the time, and this adds a multiplier onto that. It also works very nicely with amplified artifacts, which gives you an increased chance to drop scarabs from monsters per monster modifier affecting them. You know, that's pretty good synergy there. Alright, that's our thoughts on all the League mechanics across the board. There's a little write-up you could dig into as well, a few recommendation trees, you know, all of that. And since it is still the month of October, that means it's still spooky movie recommendation time. This time we're going to recommend Halloween. This is going to be our last video before Halloween, I think. And yeah, Halloween's a great movie, so if you've never seen it, treat yourself. Even if you have seen it before, treat yourself to another viewing of Halloween. It's pretty great, actually. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord and become part of our community. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us and help us make more PoE content, become a channel member or come boost the Discord. Thanks for watching. Bye.